Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna copy out the link and then I'm gonna post it on to you guys. Okay, so right now I'm streaming. Okay, good. So you guys already figured out how to model the bullet and also the teapot, and also I demoed the helix object, which you can use to create a screw thread. Also, you can modify a cylindrical shape to have a square or flat body. So I demonstrated that in the previous example. So I'm going to save this scene. I'm going to reset the scene. New scene. Okay, what about, I'm going to have a scenario here. I'm going to show you how to model like different type of screw heads. Now, a screw can be broken down into two basic objects, right? It's the body. The body is usually made up of a cylinder, okay? Now, you can scale the cylinder down until it becomes the shaft of the screw or a rivet. Then I'm going to duplicate this, Control D. Then I'm going to scale this again, non-uniform scale this. And if you put two different objects together, this will form a basis of a screw or a nail. You may also choose to combine these two together. Now, if you want, okay, if you don't want to make this out of two different objects, you can also extrude this cylinder, the top end faces, okay, and make it into a screw head from these additional faces, like that. All right. So just by extruding, so this will be a single object. All right. So there is one screw for you. So I'm going to duplicate this screw. Control D. Now, I'll not be talking over like what shortcuts I'm using now because all the stuff I already demonstrated in the previous example. So this is a non-subdivided screw or rivet. Okay, so if you want to give it like a screw slot, you have to apply or you have to cut this to create a slot. So first, I'm going to select the top faces and I'm going to either extrude them or I will insert one edge loop to give me extra detail. But meanwhile, I'm just going to go to select the top vertices and give it a little bit of thickness. All right. So let's say I want to create a flat head type of a screw. So let's study the topology of this cylinder here in the top view. So in order to give it like a flat section, I need to make sure that I cut, okay, use a multi-cut tool, right, to cut from this vertex down to this vertex. So you can use the multi-cut tool, which is available here. Okay. So when you click on multi-cut tool, right, your cursor changes into this tool right over here. Every time you move close to an edge, the edge will be highlighted. If you move close to a vertex, it will snap to the vertex. Left mouse click on the vertex to stop the cut. And then you can go to the target where you want to end the cut. And then I'll just click on it and press enter. So I finished the cut. All right, so I'm going to repeat over here. Left mouse click to cut, and then move to the target, and left mouse click and cut. Then press enter. Okay, if it doesn't want to finish for you, you can press Z to undo and try again. Just now it didn't snap correctly to the vertex I want to cut. Okay, it was going to the edge instead. So make sure you snap to the vertex and then click over the vertex and then press enter. All right, so notice that we have created an edge loop that cuts across the top part of the screw. Okay, so we ended up with a lot of detail, right, which we can select and then we can extrude. Okay, but we have an issue here. We have multiple vertices here, which I do not want, and I want to merge together. All right, so in order to keep this clean, I'm going to try to merge these three vertices together. So press Q to go back to selection. Drag a box over these vertices. Okay, and you can apply edit mesh merge, or the easiest method for me is to hover over the vertices, the selected vertices, shift right mouse click and merge vertices, and choose the option merge to center. All right, so my last operation, my last selected operation was merge. So I'm gonna drag a box over these three, and I just simply need to press G. It's gonna repeat the last option. So same thing for the vertices here, G, G. Now they are merged together. Okay, notice I have a problem. Some of the vertices are being merged from the bottom up together. That is because earlier on, when I merged, right, I accidentally selected vertices that are underneath this head. So how do you prevent that from happening? So I'm going to press Z to undo, Z to undo again. Okay, I'm going to check, make sure that I have no problem here. Now, to avoid selecting vertices from behind, you can press 4 to go to wireframe mode. So earlier on, when I drag a box, right, I actually selected another vertex right at the bottom here. So pressing 4 to go to wireframe mode, you can avoid it by selecting only the vertices that you want to merge. Now, another method is to double click on the selection. Double click on the selection tool here to bring up your tool properties. You can enable this thing called camera-based selection. So what this means is that when you're in shaded mode, your selection will only select things which are in front of the camera. If your vertex is behind the camera, it will never be selected. Okay, so that is what it means. So I'm going to press G to merge, left mouse click and drag, press G to merge again. So now I check, there's no distortion, everything is fine. All right, so if you look at the line of vertices here, you notice that they are not very straight. Because of the merging, they're not very straight. So I'm going to straighten them again by just dragging a box over the vertices, pressing R to go to scale, and I'm going to scale them along the x-axis to straighten them. So you guys already learned this trick already. Use the one axis to flatten them. So right now I have the faces to create a slot in the center. So how do I create a slot for the screw? I need to select these faces and extrude them outwards, or yeah, I can extrude them downwards, but extruding downwards doesn't make sense. It will create another additional face that will sink inwards. So I'm going to switch over to face selection mode, and then I'm going to select the face. Now, there is another selection tool which I have not shown you guys, which is this paint select tool. This can be useful in this situation here. Now, when you click on paste selection tool, okay, I can first, you notice the selection diameter is very big. So we need to reduce the selection diameter. If you want to reduce the selection diameter, you can double click on the paint selection tool and reduce the radius here. But you can't really see, you can't interactively see the size of the selection. So the quickest way would be to hold down B key, holding down B key, middle mouse click and drag left right to adjust the selection size. All right, then paint over the faces that you want to select. In this case, I want to select this face and then continue to paint over the faces that you want to select. So right now I have the faces that I have selected. Then I can press Q to go to select, holding down the shift, right mouse click and extrude, or you can press Control E, up to you. Click on the blue blue arrowhead, which is the normal, to extrude out the screw head slot. So now you end up with a screw head slot. Now this screw will look fine if you do not subdivide it. Okay, if you leave it as it is in object mode, okay, this will be fine. However, if you press number 3, everything will fall apart. You can see because of the 3-sided faces, everything is going to look like that. So for this purpose, I'm going to leave it as it is. Okay, I'm going to tweak the scale a little bit. Okay, remember, now because my selection is based on camera view, if I drag a box over this, it looks like all the vertices on top is selected. But if you go behind, some vertices are still not selected. So I need to go to the selection settings by double-clicking on it. Then disable this camera-based selection so that if I drag a box over the top vertices, I can scale them down and select it all together at the same time. All right. So this is how I create the slot. Now the slot looks a bit too wide. So I'm going to very carefully select these group of vertices. Okay, make sure that they are selected, and then you can use scale to scale them in. It's not a perfect solution, but okay, I managed to reduce the size of the slot. Right. So creating this is relatively straightforward, but what if you want to create like a rounded head screw with a Phillips, okay, a Phillips head? So for Phillips head, right, we will need to have a different object. We're going to start off with a sphere, a UV sphere. All right, from this UV sphere, I want to make sure that I have the top right that is divisible by 4. So the default sphere already have 4 lines lined up to the main axis. So I know that this is divisible by 4. I should be able to create a cross on this shape here. So from this sphere, I'm going to delete away most of the bottom. So I'm going to go to the front view or side view. Go to wireframe mode, pressing 4. Right mouse click, go to face mode. I'm going to select the bottom faces and delete them away. So I'm ended up with this shape like that. So I'm going to press 5 to go back to shaded mode. So I'm going to modify this so that it has a cross shape here. So let's go to the top view. And then again, I'm going to use my multi-cut tool. Okay, let me just check whether I can access my multi-cut tool here. Wait. Let me go to face and see whether I can get my multi-cut tool. Okay, where? Yeah, here. So I can access it in my hotbox as well. So now I'm going to inspect this. Okay, I have to go to face mode. I will start from this vertex and then I'll cut all the way here. Okay, make sure you snap towards the vertices. Make sure the vertex is highlighted, then you click. Then I'm going to cut from here. Make sure you hover until the vertex is highlighted. You can see the dot. Do not cut over the edge. You must cut over the vertex. Click on it once, then move over parallel and then press enter. I'm going to do the same here and then press enter. Okay, so I created this cross section area here. I created a series of faces which I can extrude downwards. So now I'm going to go back to selection and go to face selection mode. And because I already shown you how to use the paintbrush selection tool, okay, I created a bunch of multi-sided face like this one here. This is actually not good. So we'll try to fix that one later. So what you can do is that you can merge the vertices. Well, I created a mess here. Okay, we can do the cleanup later on, but let's go and fix these areas here first. Let me check. Okay, I'm just going to use the multi-cut tool again. Maybe cut across here. Okay, I might have ended up with too much detail here and too much unnecessary meshes here. So you can see all this, like this is a multi-sided face. Go to face mode. This is a multi-sided face. This in 3D modeling, right, is actually not a good thing. So what I might do is that I might delete away all this and rebuild them again. But meanwhile, I just want to show you with the multi-cut tool, right, I can create this cross shape out. Then I'm going to use my paint selection tool. Again, if your paint size is too big, press on B, middle mouse click and drag to reduce the size. And then right now I'm in face mode. I'll be painting to select the faces that I want to extrude. Now, if you accidentally selected the face that you do not want, you can deselect them again. Okay, let me just select them like that. Okay, you can hold on to your control key to unpaint. Okay, the brush is too big already. So holding down the control key to unselect. If you want to make sure you selected the paint selected the brushes, or rather paint selected the faces properly, make sure the brush falls over the general center of the face. Okay, so to deselect paint, control, holding down control and paint over the faces. All right, so now I've selected the faces. Just verify by pressing 4. Okay, I'm ready to extrude. So I can press Q to go to select. Shift right mouse click, extrude. Okay, and instead of extruding locally, okay, right now, okay, you can extrude locally, not a problem. You can also extrude globally if you click on the switch and then you just pull down, pull down the extrusion. And if you press R to scale, you can scale down the faces slightly. Okay. So I've talked a little bit about topology, about how the line flows and everything. Now the problem is that we have all these lines that cuts across like that. If you do not subdivide your object, okay, if you leave it like this, it looks okay. Okay, I think I have a problem here. I did not select this face when I extrude. Never mind, we fix this later. Okay, but if the topology is bad, right? If I press number 3, okay, you get all these nasty artifacts, shading artifacts over here. Okay, let me just go back to level 1 by pressing 1. I'm going to press Z to undo so that I'm going to include this face in the extrusion, because yeah, this face was not included just now. So I'm going to shift and add this face, and then I'm going to re-extrude again. Shift, extrude, press W, and then just move it down. And then I can press R to scale this slightly. So now I got a Phillips screw head. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to do something about the topology here, because this topology is a mess. Okay, I still seem to have this problem. Okay, no issue. I'm going to manually delete away these faces and fix this myself. I'm going to select this group of faces, delete them. Okay, now it seems to be okay. But is there a hole there? No. All right. So I'm going to fix this. I'm going to select these faces, and I'm going to delete them away, and I'm going to rebuild the face. Okay, and then I'm going to delete this. Okay. Now I don't have the mess over in the center. Now I'm trying to fix this by going to vertex mode. Remember, you can select your vertices, and then you can use your non-uniform scale to flatten them. Flatten them. Remember to select them along a straight line so that you can scale them up and flatten them, like so. Okay, and then this vertex, I can delete it away. If the vertex is sitting along the edge, right, you can actually safely select and delete it away. Okay, the process I'm doing now is called cleanup. All right, so this one will become very critical as you get more and more experience. Okay, let's see, how can I join everything together? Now, you can choose to select the open edge, and then you can say fill hole. All right, so now this hole is filled, but then you have to use the multi-cut tool to cut and recreate the topology again. Okay, that is one way. So right now I'm just cutting it evenly. Okay, remember to, if you make a mistake, press Z. So I'm fixing the topology just by cutting directly across like that. Make sure you cut until you make sure you wait for the vertex to appear before you left mouse click. Okay, so now I'm fixing the topology. So it's not like a huge mess earlier on. All right. So we got some triangles here, okay, but I'm going to leave it at that. And then we have some multi-sided face, which we can fix by cutting across like that. So now this becomes four-sided face, four-sided face. This process is called cleanup. Yes, you'll be doing a lot of cleanup as you progress in your modeling skills. So in 3D modeling, right, we always try to avoid multi-sided faces. Now, if you have one or two triangles here and there, that's fine. But if you have a lot of multi-sided face, then it's going to have a problem when you subdivide it. So right now, I think I've eliminated the multi-sided face. I've left with only triangular faces. Now, the way I'm looking at this, I think this can still be eliminated. Okay, but I'm going to leave it at this stage now. Now, if I press 3 to subdivide, it's looking a little bit better. There's still some slight artifacts here. Okay, but it's a little bit better than earlier. Okay, so now I got my Phillips head, but how do I create the rest of the body? So you go to edge mode, double click to select this edge, shift right mouse click and extrude the edge. Use the global switch to pull down. Okay, and then press G again because our last use command was extrude. Always use the blue arrowhead to extrude inwards. Okay, press G again to extrude. Use the blue arrowhead to pull out. Okay, and I'm going to press G again to extrude, and then I'm just going to push it in. And then if you got a hole over here, you can push it all the way until you cover up the hole, or you can leave the hole open first while it's still being selected. Shift right mouse click and fill up the hole. So now you have a Phillips screw head. And if you want to refine it further, you can add things like bevel. Double click to select this edge. Shift double click to select this edge. Shift right mouse click and apply a bevel. Okay, and holding down the control, you can adjust the amount of bevel, amount of segments, and create a round segment like that. And we definitely need a bevel here as well. Press G, repeat last command, give it a couple of segments, and reduce the fraction by holding down the control. And maybe I need a bevel here as well. Double click to select the loop. Press G to repeat last command. Holding down the control, click over the word so that you can do a fine selection. Give it another extra segment. And your screw is done. Okay, we don't have the screw thread here, but we can fake the screw thread using the helix. If you press number 3, see this is what it looks like subdivided. Now let's make this screw a little bit more realistic. Let's give it a screw thread. So I'm going to create a helix. Create a helix. Now the helix is too big. I'm going to reduce the size of the radius. Holding down the control. Reduce this, and then the number of subdivision in the axis reduce to 3. Okay, the radius, I'm gonna reduce it smaller. Then I'm gonna move this until it is the same height. Okay, reduce the height. Okay, and then the subdivision coil, maybe reduce it. I don't need so much. I'm gonna increase the number of coils, and then maybe increase the height. Okay, maybe this coils reduce a little bit. Okay, click on height, middle mouse click, and then holding down the control, then you just push this up and down. I'm just going to cover this up. And now I got a screw. Okay. Now this part here, okay, let me just push it up. I'm cheating a little bit. Okay, in reality, right, if you have this, you're using the helix as a body, you don't really need this. Remember one of the rules I said about 3D modeling. If it cannot be seen, then don't model it. Okay, so these faces, I can delete it away. So I'm only left the screw head. And select this and then just stick it on top. And no one will tell the difference. Right? So, but this, now we have a problem. We have a big gaping hole here. And also we have overlapping edges. So I'm going to adjust the height a little bit until the lines intersect like that. Yes. Okay, so covering this, you can select the open edge. Let me see whether this works. No, it doesn't work. I have to delete away the faces from here to... Okay, because this is a continuous face, if I select this loop, right, the internal faces can be selected and can be deleted, all right? And then I'm gonna bridge this. Can I bridge this? Let me try. No, cannot. Yeah. Let me see if I can select from this edge and shift, select this edge and extrude. Okay, I'm going to use the global switch, pattern it, then scale it in until they are covered up. I'm going to use my, remember your, okay, I'm doing this very roughly. Remember your vertex snap, you can hold down the V and then you can snap this until it covers. Right, not a perfect, not the ideal way, but this is like the quick and dirty way to create, convert this helix into a solid piece like that. But remember, there's these gaps here are not connected. Okay, there are two vertices here. If I move the vertices, there still be an open gap. So if you want this to be closed up, right, you have to perform a merge operation. So I'm going to select all the vertices. I'm going to apply a merge, edit mesh merge, and I'm going to use the option box, and I'm going to increase the range a little bit more, maybe 0.05, okay, and then try a merge. So once I merge already, hopefully the vertices that are near each other are stuck together. Yes. Now the gaps are sealed together. So I created a screw thread. Once you're happy, you can select both, go to mesh and combine, and you have created your screw thread. Okay, but take note, this screw thread is, if you subdivide it, this is what it looks like. But because these are four-sided faces, if you want the triangle to be sharper, there's another tool which I haven't shown you guys yet, is this one. If you select this edge, it's going to run continuously. Shift right mouse click, instead of insert edge loop tool, there's this offset. Okay, the offset edge loop is going to insert two edge loops right along the edge. So when you put it closer, then it's become sharp. So you can do it to the edge here. You're gonna press G again, offset edge loop 2 again. Make sure I select the correct orientation, not this one. Oops. I think I clicked at the corner. Okay, I'm gonna apply again. No, not this way. Yes. Okay, and then move it inwards. Okay, what I'm doing just now was to insert extra edge loop, supporting edge loop, so that if I press number 3 to subdivide, I have this very sharp defined edge. Okay, and then now my screw is done. Okay. So you have to put in the hours, you have to put in the time to practice and play with all these tools. Okay, then you'll be able to understand how it works. Go ahead and make as many mistakes as you can. Right, I think I messed up. Oh no, this one is part of the helix. It's bursting through the head. Okay, I'm going to go to component mode, the face mode, double click and select this face and then move it down slightly. Okay, so it doesn't disturb the top part of the face here. Okay, so that's how you do a screw, Phillips head screw.